get started now. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Welcome to weekly Quranic Wisdom study at Receiving Note. We're continuing to discuss windows, openings onto our Creator from this world, from Imam Nursi's text, words, 33rd word, and we're at 16th window today. We will have a shorter session today to make sure we can all focus. We'll try to keep it around an hour or so. And we have Sibel, who had kindly agreed to share her reflections on the window. So we will, if that's okay, we'll go ahead and start with that, and then we'll continue from there. Is that okay, Dr. Yamina?
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Bismillah. Yes, Sibel, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I didn't attend all the series, and so I wanted to go back and remember what 33rd word is all about. And at the start of it, there is an ayah. It's Fussilat 41:53. And it's one of the famous ones, I guess, because I've heard this many times before. And I want to start with remembering that, because the whole intention of all these windows all started to explain in a nice number, 33, which is very, very familiar to us from 33 Tesbihah. We say many things 33 times. I guess God has a plan with this number. It says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, we shall show them our signs in the furthest horizons and in themselves, so that it will become clear to them that this Quran is indeed the truth. Is it not enough that your sustainer witness all things? So God, the author of Quran, Allah, puts ahead a vast spectrum to reveal the truth, to provide clarity, which is described as horizon, basically where everything vertical meets everything horizontal. It's the horizon, where the eye can see the furthest. And within our own nafs, I mean, look at yourself, go back also within yourself. And then come up with clarity. So this is very powerful, I think, because it doesn't leave any empty spot in the whole universe. Everything is a sign from Him, and it has a claim that there will be clarity when you look at it. So I will start reading the 16th window. And all the windows, in each one of the windows, it is pointing out to another clarity with its attributes and behavior, how they are signs from God, and everything is a sign from Him. And it reveals that the Quran is indeed the truth. So 16th window. The order and ordering in the creation and disposal of creatures, which are renewed season by season on the earth, show clearly a universal wisdom. So I think this is pretty clear. There is order and ordering in creation and disposal of creatures. Everything comes and goes with death, with time, and with renewing, with seasons, and human life too. We come, we age, and then we go. Since an attribute can, and it says, show clearly a universal wisdom. So I thought about this, and this phenomenon that there's an order and ordering in creation, disposal of creatures. We have a lot of other explanations with, nowadays with theories like chaos theory, selfish gene, or survival of the fittest, we rarely hear the word universal wisdom. So it is almost getting our attention to a wiser world, not with intention. Since an attribute cannot be without the one it qualifies, this universal wisdom necessarily shows an all-wise one. So this is also beautiful. Well, we see the attributes all the time. And whenever there's an attribute, there should be someone that this attribute is qualified to. So the beauty cannot be around without the beautiful, or the wisdom cannot be around without the wise one. You have to call a person, someone, as wise. An attribute cannot be without attaching to an actual noun, a person, a thing. A wonderful, so the key here is, do I have the intention to look at that sign? And here I see an attribute. So where is the owner of this attribute, I think? The wonderful adornment within the veil of wisdom self-evidently shows a perfect beneficence, and that perfect beneficence necessarily points to a gracious, all-generous creator. The all-encompassing benevolence and bestowal within the veil of beneficence show self-evidently an all-embracing mercy, and that all-embracing mercy shows necessarily an all-merciful and all-compassionate one. So it is the 16th window here is lining up the attributes that we see in the order of creation and the disposal of creatures, with the renewal of seasons and the renewal of earth, with all the wisdom that we see around. These are the attributes that is listed, and it should all point to a all merciful, all compassionate one. It needs to point to someone. Otherwise, it would be, well, it wouldn't be actually. You can't, if you are listing an attribute, then if you are calling it as an attribute, like there is mercy, there is beneficence, then it is only natural that you are pointing out to someone who is designing these things, putting it together and ordering it. The sustenance and foods of all living creatures above the veil of mercy, all perfectly appropriate for their needs, show a clearly sustaining providence and a compassionate dominicality, and that sustaining and administering necessarily point to an all generous provider. I think the Said Nursi is painting a different kind of universe here from what we hear at school and all other places. Well, I just want to keep it in context, but I remember something. Well, many years ago, there's a phenomenon here where I live, and every 14 years, an insect, cicada, comes from Earth, and it sleeps for 14 years under the ground, and once every 14 years, these are really big bugs with goggly eyes, and when they come out, they scream for days. And all of them, like thousands of them, come out one morning. You wake up and everywhere is covered with cicadas. For someone who is afraid of insects, this is a very, very annoying thing. And it happened here, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, maybe more. I think soon they're going to come back. I remember when they're here, it is impossible to ignore them. It is a sight to see. It covers the building entrances, and God forbid if it gets into your car, you are stuck with it. They're very slow too. And if there is a way to look at it from as sent from someone who is compassionate, it's within a veil of mercy and with universal wisdom. If you don't look at it that way, it is a summer of annoyance, nothing else. It is, I mean, if someone who's all knowing you and knowing the universe hasn't sent the cicadas, for me it was the case for a while, but that year and following year actually, all the birds got like plumber, and it helped with because they come, they live for a couple of days and then they die. So all living things around and non-living things too benefit from this big feast. Birds eat them, bugs eat them, and it covers your plantings and gardens, so your vegetables comes out even better. So if there is a way, if we have the intention to look for signs, the way we see the universe entirely changes. You have a different vision of what's happening around you. And sometimes it's for more difficult things. I understand that. When I read the first two sentences, the order and ordering in the creation and disposal of creatures, the first thing that came to my mind wasn't cicadas. Actually, it was my father. He passed away this year. So some of them are more difficult to swallow, but if we don't look at the signs, or if you don't search the signs, it can be a very annoying place, the whole universe. And the signs are there when you have the intention of looking at it. So where was I? Yes. Look at and consider also the universal wisdom, which is apparent on the face of the earth as a whole, and is to be seen in its totality, and shows clearly purpose and will, and the perfect beneficence embracing all creatures, which comprises the wisdom and the encompassing mercy, which comprises the beneficence. Well, there are a lot of like big words here. I had to look up a dictionary actually. Beneficence is act of mercy with strong connotation to doing good to others. So it is not just doing good. It is an encompassing good. And includes all the beings of the earth, and the most generous sustaining and nurturing, which comprises the mercy and wisdom and beneficence, and embraces all living creatures. So it is whoever is designing the whole universe, it is embracing all living creatures. Nothing is out of his kingdom. Nothing is out of his intention. It's an all encompassing mercy. It is calling out a veil of mercy in a couple of places. Actually, it is. I think it's a very beautiful way to explain it. It is like, there are these filters in some of these applications. It's like a mercy filter. Everything is actually beyond the veil of mercy. Just as the 7 colors from the light, which illuminates the face of the earth, undoubtedly shows the sun, so too that beneficence within wisdom and mercy within beneficence and sustaining and nurturing within mercy show brilliantly on a large scale and at a high degree the unity and perfect dominicality of an utterly wise, generous, compassionate, providing necessarily existent one. It is the 7 colors from the sun. So to so how the well, when you see color, it is a clear sign of light, and we know that light has to have a source. How every color that we see around, it is a it undoubtedly shows of the sun. There should be a light. Color is not within the objects, it is a reflection of light. Just like that, when I see wisdom or mercy in one corner, like in a baby or in a bird or in cicadas every 14 years, it is brilliantly showing me a very large scale, because it's not all about that one instance. It is everywhere under the same veil. It's utterly wise and generous. Okay. It's everywhere. It's not just 1, 2. It is everywhere and infinitely. So here it calls God as utterly wise, generous, compassionate. Oh, excuse me. So did I miss something?
So please go ahead. It was just background noise. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I just realized that my sound was turned off. If anybody said anything I might have missed, please let me know. So I like the ending here a lot because he gets angry, seems like. After he lists all the all his method of well, there's a methodology here. He comes from small and goes to a larger scale, and has a way of showing how everything behaves to be a sign. So after making his point, the author says, "Oh, you stupefied and heedless denier." So you looked at the universe with a sincere curiosity and see what's going on, and did not see mercy, did not see intention, did not see art, and everything comes and goes in an order, in a perfect order, actually, without nobody steps on others' toes, nothing disappears, nothing comes out of them. Everything has a perfect, if you're into math, there's perfect math. If you're into art, there's perfect art. And if you're into science, there's perfect science. A hair doesn't move without reason. So now he calls, "Oh, you stupefied, heedless denier." So you see all these attributes, and you don't want to see, or you don't want to find the artist, the mathematician, the wise, the merciful behind all this. So it's only natural he calls you a stupid person. With what you can explain this wise, generous, compassionate, providential, sustaining this strange, wonderful, miraculous state of affairs, which is before your eyes? It seems to me like we all have different interests. For example, I see this a lot when I have a halakha with mostly women. Women are more into pointing out things about feelings like compassion or mercy or beauty. They're more prone to that, and some people have. I mean, it's not just women and men, it's also per person. We all have different interests, but whichever glasses interests you have, God has a sign specifically for you. I mean, there are all kinds of signs, but whatever you're into, if you're into art, there is the ultimate art. If you're into science, there is ultimate science. There is no escape of the science. So the names that he's listing here, it's compassionate, sustaining, it's strange, it's wonderful, also miraculous states of affairs, which is before your eyes. And remember, at the very start of the 33 word, it is saying from horizon to yourself, so it's everywhere. With chance, how do you explain? It's asking with chance and coincidence, which are aimless like you. So that's basically what most of us are doing, with chance or coincidence, or we just don't think about it, I'm afraid. With force, which is blind like your heart. With nature, which is deaf like your head. With causes which are impotent, lifeless, and ignorant like you. Or do you want to give the name of nature, which is utterly impotent, ignorant, deaf, blind, contingent, and wretched, to all glorious one, who is utterly holy, pure, exalted, and free of all defect, and absolutely powerful, knowing, hearing, and seeing, and thus perpetrate an infinite error? So with what force can you extinguish this truth, brilliant as the sun? Under which veil of heedlessness can you conceal it? So God has a lot of there were a lot of veils of mercy, veil of wisdom, so many veils that were listed, but now it's asking which veil of heedlessness can you to conceal it, all these signs that are everywhere.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jazakallah khair, Sibel, for going through this window for us.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Dr. Yamina, would you like to add anything, or is there anyone else who would like to ask a question or offer a comment? I wanted to perhaps add something. I find it interesting how, as we said last time, there are clear steps in this movement from the creation to the creator. And these things are within each other. So we first notice order and ordering, which is perhaps the easiest to notice. And then with that, we can discern that this must be due to wisdom. And then within that order and ordering, you see adornment, zina, I think in Turkish or in Arabic. So within that, if we think about a flower, it has a particular order and shape and form. And within that, we also, as we notice, we see adornment, we see beauty in that flower. And then within that adornment, it goes into rahmah and mercy, and mercy is seen in the way in which that flower is being bestowed things like a fruit, like fruits and so on. And then within that, he sees rizq, sustenance, that flower is not only well ordered and given beauty, embellishment, and given fruits or results, but also it is being sustained, that water is sent down, nitrogen is made in the soil, and so on. So this is interesting. I've been trying to reflect on this week, to think about all of these layers that are easier to see if we can just pause, inshallah.
I want to highlight that, well, it is to me, it is usually more easier to see the order and beauty in a flower. But when it comes to like in the order of creation, I love talking about it or feeling it or witnessing it. I usually not have difficult time, but it is to accept, I guess, to live with it. It's the disposal of creatures. It can be a particular creature that is disposed, or it can be many things like our youth, our life, our work, everything comes and goes. It's just nothing. It's like we are at a display here. Everything is lined up, doing its purpose, and then leaving. So the new ones are coming with bounty. But it is, well, just like they come and go, we also will come and go, and we have a purpose here as well. So I need that sign. Otherwise, it's a very wretched world, really. It's just, it's really chaos and selfish and a display of survival of the fittest. We really do need to see and embrace the signs. It becomes a very, very merciless world if there is not any intention in it by all merciful, from someone who is endlessly generous, endlessly providing, and endlessly merciful.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I like your example of this cicada as well. I think I saw it in its last time, and I was scared. They were all over. But to see it through the filter of, well, there's order here. There must be wisdom, and these creatures themselves have their own embellishment, adornment, and then you talked about its results. It's not.
Yeah. I have never seen a fat bird before. That year, I've seen fat birds, like really. They became bigger. It was fascinating.
So we're half hour into tonight's session. As I said in the beginning, we will try to make the sessions a bit shorter so people can focus. So with that, I want to turn to Dr. Yamina if she would like to add anything, or if she would like to get us started on 17th window.
Assalamu alaikum. I think there were other raised hands.
It was just me. So I just wanted to thank Sibel for pointing out that there are signs for everyone that are tailored to their interests. So I like how, like you're pointing out, like if you're an artist, you'll find artistry. And if you're into sign, whatever you're into, like, you know, the endless eternal source has signs for you all over the universe. So there's no one that's left out, regardless of interest. And then as you were speaking about cicadas, it was interesting how you said, like, you know, everything comes and goes, and they fulfill their purpose, then another wave comes and, you know, and fulfill its purpose and goes. And that's exactly what these creatures are doing. They, you know, they're hibernating underground, and, like, you know, they come up and in a very planned fashion. It's like the stored food, like, you know, so there's, like, you know, there's water from the sky, there's all this, you know, there's all this food that is available, but still there is that extra special, like, you know, sustenance that is timed and comes up in abundance and comes up in cycles, and you know, to complete a purpose. And then when it's done, like, you know, then others come up in more abundance, like, you know, 14 years later, but they still come back. So that cycle, it's endless, like, you know, and in that there's signs. So subhanallah. So Jazakallah khair, Sibel. It was beautiful to hear your reflections. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you, Sibel. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. So That was the 16th window, alhamdulillah. And with each window, we're looking at how everything is functioning as a sign, as a window onto the unseen, as a mirror reflecting the beautiful names of God and making it known to us, which is the most important first step, so that when we look at everything in the horizons and within ourselves, we will be certain that these are signs because they communicate with us, they have messages for us that pertain to the beautiful names of God, that pertain to the world of the unseen. And to the true purpose and meaning of life, including our own life. So the 17th window starts with an ayah, إن في السماوات والأرض لآيات للمؤمنين. It is the fifth ayah of Surah Al-Jathiyah, Surah 45. Actually, Surah Al-Jathiyah is an interesting surah. Just to remind ourselves of the 5 first ayat of Surah Al-Jathiyah, Surah 45. It starts with Hamim, the bestowal from on high of the book issues from God, the Almighty, the Wise, Tanzilul Kitab min Allahi al-Aziz al-Hakim. Inna fi samawati wal ardi la ayatin lil mu'minin, which is the topic of the 17th window. In the heavens as well as on earth, there are certainly signs, signpost, ayat, messages for all those who believe, lil mu'minin, for the believers. Yeah, for the believers. And the fourth ayah is, and in your own creation, وَفِي خَلْقِكُمْ. So there are creation ayat in the heavens and the earth. There are ayat for the believers, and as well there are ayat in your own creation, and in that of all the creatures He, God, scatters on earth. There are again signs, ayat, for people who are endowed with certainty. So there are ayat is repeated. There is an emphasis. لآيات لقوم يوقنون. And the fifth ayah is, and is in the succession of night and day, and in the means of subsistence, which God sends down from the skies, giving life thereby to the earth after it had been lifeless, and in the change of the winds. In all this, there are ayat, signs, for people who use their reason. So it's repeated again and again. Ayatun liqawmin yaqilun. So here it's the 17th window starts with, indeed, in the heavens and earth, there are signs for people who believe. It's actually for the believers. If we observe, it starts with if we observe. In the 16th window, Sibel kept saying, if we look, if we intentionally look, want to see. So if we observe, it means we are paying attention. The face of the earth in the summer, we see that. So it starts with, if we observe, if we pay attention and look intentionally, we see. It means we realize. So we only see, we could be looking without seeing. We only see when we observe, when we look intentionally. So the face of the earth in the summer, because in the summer it's a season of plenty, so it's easier to see. Otherwise, anytime, anywhere, we can always find and see. But for the beginner, it's better to take them to start from the easiest. So what do we see when we observe? What do we see? We see that an absolute munificence and liberality, which necessitate confusion and disarrangement, is to be seen with a total harmony and order. Look at the plant which adorn the face of the earth. So this is an example. And what do we see? We see an absolute munificence and liberality, which necessitate here, it means according to our understanding, our expectation, the way we work, we see things. When we see abundance and munificence, and what do we expect? We expect confusion and disorder. Yet, what do we see here? We see total harmony, insijam, and order. Intidam, actually, it's ordering. And for instance, look at the plants which adorn the face of the earth. I'll go through and then we come back. And the utter, and so if we observe and we see the utter speed of the creation, in the creation of things, which necessitates imbalance and disorder. Here necessitates, it's actually which usually we expect if there is utter speed, the more speed, the more imbalance and disorder. Yet there is apparent within it a perfect equilibrium. And for instance, look at all fruits which decorate the face of the earth. And if we observe, we see an absolute multiplicity which necessitates unimportance and even ugliness. I mean, the more variety and lots of things there are, the more things become, they lack art, they become uglier, they are not as skillful, and they are not as worthy and as valuable. Yet, it is apparent within it a perfect beauty of art. For instance, look at the flowers which gild the face of the earth. And if we observe the face of the earth in the summer, we see the absolute ease in the creation of things, which necessitates a lack of art and simplicity, yet it is to be seen with an infinite art and skill. Actually, the original is artistry, craftsmanship, and skill and attention. And here the attention is ihtimam. It's more than attention, it is, we'll get back to attentiveness. Look carefully at all the seed, which are like the tiny containers and programs of the members of plants and trees, and the small cases containing their life histories. And if we observe the face of the earth in the summer, we see that the great distances which necessitate difference, ikhtilaf, and diversity appear within correspondence and conformity, ittifaq. Look at all the varieties of cereal grains sown in every part of the earth. They are very far from each other, but they all conform to the same order. And the total, if we observe, we see the total intermingling, which necessitates confusion and muddle, like disorder, mishmash, is on the contrary to be seen within a perfect differentiation and separation. Consider the perfect differentiation of seeds when they sprout, despite being cast into the earth, all mixed up together and all resembling one another with regard to their substance. I mean, the seeds and the substance in the seeds, they are very similar. Not only they look similar, but inside is similar. Even their DNA, it's the order that makes the difference. Otherwise, the substances are the same. The ingredients are the same. And despite being cast into the earth and all mixed up together and all resembling one another with regard to their substance, and the various substances which enter trees being separated out perfectly for the leaves, the flowers, the fruits, the foods, which enter the stomach, all mix up together, and they are all being separated out perfectly according to the various members and cells. Each cell gets what it needs. Nothing is confused. See the perfect power within the perfect wisdom. So now the reasoning of the 16th window is already being applied here. What was the reasoning in the 16th window? We see order and ordering. We see order, everything is ordered. It means there is an act of ordering. That ordering is meaningful. That's why we call it order, but it's not just order like a child putting all the toys in a certain. It's much more meaningful than that, like putting all the robots in all the cars in one row. It's much more than that, because here there is an ordering that has benefits. It was a previous window. So this order clearly displays, we understand that this is, we call this wisdom. So we don't see wisdom, you say, where is the wisdom? The wisdom is from the meaning we extract from the order and the order, the meaningful, beneficial order and ordering. And when we see wisdom, we say, who does it belong to? Who is creating so wisely, so orderingly? So there must be a wise one. This is now applied here, and that's why all this activity is see the perfect power. Everything is intermingled. There needs to be knowledge and power and wisdom to not only differentiate, but also send each one to where it is needed. And when we observe the face of the earth in the summer, we see the great abundance and infinite profusion, which necessitates unimportance. Here again, we understand which necessitates is from the translation. If you read from the original, you understand, which according to us, we would think this goes, there should be like unimportance, worthlessness, yet there are to be seen are, what is to be seen are most valuable and expensive, again, valuable, worthy, in regard to the creatures and art on the face of the earth. Within this innumerable wonders of art, consider only the varieties of mulberry, those confections of divine power on the table of the all-merciful one. So this table, Rahmani, on the face of the earth. See them see within them the perfect mercy, the perfect art. So just look as one small example, look at the mulberry trees. There's so many kinds of mulberries, and they are all like confections coming from divine power on the banquet, the table of Rahmah from the merciful one on the face of the earth. See them with the perfect, how the perfect mercy, the perfect art. Each one, if we look only at the outside, the look and the taste and the smell, and in the tree, when we take one by one each fruit, there are different sizes, different tastes, slightly different colors. Some are white, some are green, some are red. Thus, just as the day shows the light, and the light shows the sun. If it's daylight time, it means there is light, and the light indicates the sun. So too, the great value together with the utter provision. So he's going through all the different points we went through, and the boundless intermingling and intermixing together with the utmost differentiation and separation within the utter profusion and the great distance together with the utmost conformity and resemblance within the limitless differentiation and separation, and the infinite ease and facility together with the infinite care and the making within the utmost resemblance and the utmost speed, the absolute speed and rapidity, together with the total equilibrium and balance and lack of waste within the most beautiful making, and the infinite abundance and multiplicity, together with the utmost munificence, together with absolute order within the highest degree of beauty of art, all this testify, they make shahada, to the necessary existence, the perfect power, the beautiful rububiyyah, the being Rabb, and unity and oneness of an all-powerful one of glory, an all-wise one of perfection, an all-compassionate and beauteous one. They demonstrate the meaning of Lahul Asma'ul Husna. To him belong the most beautiful names. So now, O you ignorant, heedless, here, ghafil, obstinate, wretched, with what can you interpret this mighty truth? Of course, when we are in ghafla, we don't see this truth. We take it for granted. We don't look and see. We are not looking intentionally with attention, consciously. With what can you explain, or with what can you explain the infinitely miraculous and wonderful state of affairs? To what can you attribute this truly extraordinary arts? What veil of heedlessness, of ghafla, can you draw across this window as broad as the earth and so close it? How can you close it? How can you miss it? It's in your face. Where is your chance and coincidence, your unconscious companion on which you rely and call nature? Of course, the nature, coincidence, all these things, he's talking about the ghafil, not necessarily a disbeliever, a denier. But ghafil, without realizing, explains things through nature. It just happens. Of course, it's summer. It's the season, we say. So without realizing, we are actually saying it's natural or whatever, but not contemplating, reflecting, and finding that something very unusual is going on here, something very extraordinary. The more we focus on it, the more we realize that something truly miraculous, something that is not of this worldly, that is not limited with our limits, is going on here. It is totally impossible for chance and coincidence to interfere in these matters, isn't it? And to attribute to nature 1,000th of them is impossible 1,000 times over, isn't it? Or does lifeless, impotent nature have immaterial machines and printing presses within each single thing, made from each and to the number of each? This is another argument that I don't know if it's one of the windows, but definitely it's in the Risala, that if there is no God, then in each being there must be immaterial machines, immaterial because they're not there actually, and they are printing like the same flower, because the same flower is growing, and at each stage it's a new creation. So who is making it then? Where is it coming from? So here there is a general argument, which is usually, for instance, as quantity increases, we expect quality to decrease. This is true for art and craftsmanship. I mean, the more something is, the art is valuable and original, and the more time it takes. So there is, the more we speed, if you want the artist to produce many of the same artifact, it's going to inhibit or decrease the quality of the art, and not only the art, but even the skill and the quality of the thing itself. Even if we're talking about manufacturing, producing something, then people usually, the first thing they debate is, what do we choose, quality or quantity? Because if you want to craft something of high quality, it's going to take it to be expensive. Why? Because it takes more time, more attention, lots of better quality ingredients, and so on and so forth. And so usually, in order to increase the speed of production, we have to, or people need to lower the quality of the work.
Can I share very quickly a sign that I had seen in a car mechanic shop many years ago? And it was roughly something like this. It said, if you want it quick, it won't be cheap. If you want it quick, it won't be good. If you want it good, it won't be, let me see. So it was saying, if you want it quick, it won't be cheap. If you want it cheap, it won't be good. If you want it good and cheap, it won't be, it will take time. And if you want it quick and good, it will be expensive. So all these three, we want quick, cheap.
Here, there is no art, it's just skill.
And yeah, this is just fixing your car, but the person was trying to explain it. Don't bargain if you want it quick and good at the same time. You can't bring all these three together. Many years ago, it was and here it's saying, well, it's quick, it's so
here there is speed and ease,
yeah,
abundance, and everything is intermingled. Yet when there is speed, you think that the product won't be good quality. It's the quality is always the same, top. There is abundance still. It doesn't, if you take a bulb or a seed, whether you plant one or a million, they all grow at the same time, the same quality, the same everything. So in the same ease. So something totally different from what we are used to. This is not manufacturing. This is not something that is being done in the same way that we create in time, with something totally miraculous is going on here. You mix up all kinds of seeds, you throw them, each one, there is no confusion. Something is really, because usually, it's the higher the quality standard, the lower the volume of production, the volume or the growth or the speed of production, and vice versa. And that's why people talk about striking a balance between quality and quantity. We are used to hearing these words because of this situation. And here we have absolute munificence and no confusion, no mishmash, no disorder, total harmony and order. It doesn't make any difference whether you have one or as many as you want. The order is always perfect, and the utter speed in the creation of things. And when the speedier, the quicker we do things, the more likely we are going to miss things, and there will be imbalance. It's perfect equilibrium. Absolute multiplicity, It's not only one kind, all kinds of things. And like if you start, the artist is not producing, like a craftsman is not only producing, let's say a potter, not only pots, teapots, not only cups, not only vases, all kinds of everything. Then he can't be master of all in all of them. The more the variety, the more the it's going to diminish the art, and the expertise is going to be lost. And yet here, absolute multiplicity, and instead of having ugly, clumsy, worthless things, they are all perfect beauty art. We can't imagine an artist like this. An artist is good at painting, is not good at pottery, is not good at something else, at sculpting, for instance. Someone who is good at repairing cars is not good as repairing phones or something else. If he's good at one, he will be clumsy. He won't do a good job at the others. But here we see that they are all very different. There is such a huge variety, not only in plants. All plants are so different. Some are medicinal, some are foods, some are food for human beings, for other animals. They all look very different. Some have flowers, some are trees, some are shrubs, some they have different lifespans and everything. But these are only plants, and there are insects, and there are all kinds of different beings. And there are rocks and mountains and oceans, and fish, and all kinds of living creatures in the ocean, and inanimate beings as well. And all of them are perfect, and all of them are full of art, and all of them are very valuable. So the speed, the multiplicity, the abundance, the munificence, the ease, there is absolute ease in the creation of things. And when there is ease, something that you make quickly, it's going to be very simple, artless, no lack of art, very easy, yet you see infinite artistry and skill and attentiveness. And look at the seeds, for instance, how each one of them grows into this. And seeds here, we can think of seeds for plants, and eggs for all kinds of beings. You think it's simple, but it's not simple at all. It has as if the life history of this whole being, subhanallah.
Yes, that whole plan is written in this, very tiny bit in that seed, the entire
nothing is simple.
Of a fig or an apple, whatever it is.
And total intermingling, and no confusion, no muddling. On the contrary, we see perfect differentiation. You can mix as much as you want. Everything is differentiated and separated.
I mean, even the example of cicada that was brought up today. I mean, this creature doesn't get confused under the ground. You can be lost in 14 years. It's a long time in there. Huh?
As a timer, and doesn't get bored and say, oh, like 10 years is enough. Let's
and it doesn't get lost in that old mud and under the ground, No. Just
that's why it says great abundance and infinite profusion. And instead of unimportance, worthlessness, we see the most valuable, the most expensive in regard to art. If you look at the cicadas, for instance, each one is, the more you look at it, and if you can look at it under a microscope, subhanallah, I mean, not only how it looks, but it has everything. It has eyes and wings, and it's a whole perfect being, a totally complete being. Communicates with the others next to it, makes lots of recognizable noises. This you know, this is particular to it. Eats, drinks, sees, lives, breathes, is living, it has life, and there are millions of them, and it does not diminish of the quality, like the first bunch are good and then they become less and less living or something. Not at all. They are all perfect. And this shows perfect power within, perfect wisdom, and perfect mercy, and perfect art. I mean, subhanallah. And this, he gave only the example of plants, but I mean, plants, there are so many of them, there are millions of species and hundreds of thousands of plants of species, let's say, but in each species there are many. But forget about the species and the variety and the different. If we take within just one variety, one single variety of plant, and propagate it over a vast area of land, what happens? We will see all this going on. The same, they all grow perfectly with the same speed, same art, same quality. It doesn't matter if they are very far from each other. It's not like, oh, now we are very far from home or something. They, as long as they are within soil, or and they have water and light and all the conditions that they created with, the abundance does not inhibit any of the other factors. And if you think of insects, subhanallah, they seem to be more. If someone knows, maybe they can tell us. But I know that there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of different kinds that are known, and the estimate is that there are many that are not known, maybe 30 million or like millions of different species. And we know that within each species there are many, and each one, forget about the species, each, if you take one kind of cicadas, each one among them, there are I think it's more than billions of billions, like quintillions of them alive. There was a study in I think it was in Pennsylvania, and they were saying that in each acre there were around more than 400 million animals living per acre, like all kinds of worms and insects and things like that. And the, what are they called? Termite. And the termite, I like the ants. The queen is the one that lays eggs. And they recorded that a termite queen, well, it's a kind of species, laid an egg every 2 seconds, which means around 43,000 eggs per day. Can you see, it's the manufacturing, if we think about it, it's not what we can imagine. And all the eggs are perfect. It's not because it's very fast. So if it's perfect, what does it indicate? Indicates a great, unlimited power and knowledge. but there is definitely an unlimited power. There was also like housefly, and they were saying one pair of housefly, like provided of course that they all survive within a 5-month seasons, they would total. You start with one pair, you end up after 5 months, if not none of them dies, with 190, and add to it 20 zeros individuals. We're not talking about billions, we're talking billions of billions of billions. This is one couple of houseflies. So this
we can see wisdom behind death as well.
Can you see also like the not only the wisdom, but can you see the power, the ease, the speed, the great abundance is, even if we don't know any other purposes and wisdom, which are like the ecological balance and everything is interconnected, they all definitely have so many other purposes that we are not always aware of. But apart from that, just the number, the sheer number, is a clear sign to the absolute unlimited power involved in this creation. And it's our limitedness that is used here, because each time it says like it necessitates disorder, intermingling. You would think there will be disorder and confusion, yet it's not so. So according to us, using ourselves as a unit of measurement, in our understanding, the way we create, we make things, we would expect that such a huge number, such a huge speed would end up with total confusion and disorder and artlessness, and everything will be muddled and confused and ugly and no skill. Yet we look, so we are using ourselves as a unit of measurement all through the argument. And each time we are, how do you say, surprised that it's not so. It's just the opposite. It's perfect. They are all equally artful, full of art, of order, of very skillful. So all this points to, remember, order, ordering, wisdom, wise one, two, power, wisdom, art, knowledge, and therefore there must be an all-powerful, all-wise, all-beautiful one who is behind all this activities. So we are using ourselves as a unit of measurement, and our limitedness serves as a mirror to reflect and indicate the limitlessness. It is in the infinity, or displayed in these activities, in this creativity in the world, and therefore it indicates the qualities, some absolute qualities that belong to the agent behind all these activities. And that's why at the end he says, just as the day shows the light and the light shows the sun, all these activities testify to the necessary existence and the perfect power the beautiful rububiyyah, the unity and oneness of an all-powerful one of glory and a wise one of perfection and an all-compassionate and beauteous one. And we understand now that truly lahul asma'ul husna, the beautiful names belong to him only. And this here we are using ourselves, but this the contrast of powerless showing the powerful and weakness showing the strength of the creator was in the 14th window, if you remember. So each window we learned a new step, and that step is now incorporated in the next window. And we also need, I'll stop here. We need to first understand. So there are two steps. We need to first understand this argument and the reasoning. So we need to stay, understand, consider many, many examples until it becomes like, okay, this is clear to me. Then the second step, we need to internalize it. How? By reasoning through the heart. So the first step, we think about this point and we understand them intellectually, and it becomes interesting information, very interesting. Oh, I never thought about that. Subhanallah. So this step is necessary, but it's not sufficient in the sense that it remains out there. It remains as information out there with seemingly no connection to us, as if it's not connected to me. Okay, very good, it's out there. And so that's why we always need to take the second step. And the second step, which is in this window, there is the second step is already integrated in it. It's already part of it. Each time it says, I see abundance. Normally, this necessitates no art, no skill, speed and abundance. Yet we see perfect art, perfect skill, perfect order and balance. It means I'm using myself as a unit of measurement. So in the second step, that's why it is crucial. It is very important that we pause, stop, and contemplate and meditate and consciously weigh the results of our observation and the results and our understanding in the scale of the heart. So once I'm clear, I understood, I have to take it and sit with it and weigh it in my heart. And it's only when we sit with it consciously and just have all that information. What does it mean? What is this? And we could be also looking at one of the examples. Then we will feel deeply moved. Unless we are moved, we have not internalized the information yet. We are deeply moved because through our inner powerlessness and through our limitedness and through our neediness and weakness, we get to appreciate the power, the limitlessness, the abundance, the might, the art displayed in the creation. So it has to be conscious contemplation, weighing consciously in the scale of the heart, taking the understanding, the information that I got through the observation, and leave it in my heart. What does it say to me? When I stay with it, the heart starts opening up. And then that appreciation will happen because we are created with the appreciation of art and beauty and perfection and power and wisdom. And so I have to stay there and appreciate the appreciation, feel the appreciation, experience the appreciation. And then that's when the inner transformation will start. That's when the light of being acquainted with the divine names, with the divine quality, will start showing up, will fill our heart and our whole being. We will feel that, yes, this is my Rabb, this is the Rabb behind all this. And as we get acquainted with him through his qualities, we will feel a love and appreciation for him. So subhanallah, mashallah, is filled with love and joy and appreciation and gratitude. So we start feeling and tasting the endless power, the wisdom, the might, the splendor, the majesty, the beauty, the art involved in all these processes around us, in the creation around us. And we can also, if we are looking at something within us, but like with even our body is not within us, it's still outside. And because we are created with the innate appreciation, we will feel the appreciation of these divine qualities. We have, like the stomach, the body craves food and sustenance and water and air, so does the heart and the soul. They crave the divine qualities. They crave anything that connects them to the unseen, to God, to our sustainer. And so we are made to appreciate it, to be grateful, to be happy, to feel joy, and we are moved to prostrate. We feel like crying out of joy and prostrating before the maker, the sustainer, and to glorify him and thank him with praise. So this second step is very important. Otherwise, it remains out there and it does not become iman. It does not become ihsan. It does not enlighten our inner being, inner and eventually outer being and life, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So end with a few ayats from Surah Luqman. Surah Luqman is, maybe we did study it together, I don't remember. Surah 31, ayat 10 to 13, if you have the Quran with you. We are told, خلق السماوات بغير عمد ترونها وألقى في الأرض رواسي أن تميد بكم وبث فيها من كل دابة وأنزلنا من السماء ماء فأنبتنا فيها من كل زوج كريم. Let me go through the Arabic and then go back to the meaning. هذا خلق الله فأروني ماذا خلق الذين من دونه بل الظالمون في ضلال مبين. ولقد أتينا لقمان الحكمة أن اشكر لله ومن يشكر فإنما يشكر لنفسه ومن كفر فإن الله غني حميد. وإذ قال لقمان لابنه وهو يعظه يا بني لا تشرك بالله إن الشرك لظلم عظيم. So here we are told, he it is who has created the heavens without any visible support, and he placed firm mountains on the earth in case it should shake under you, and he has spread all kinds of animals around it. We have sent down water from the sky with which we made every kind of good plants grow on earth. All this is God's creation. Now show me what others have others than him may have created. No, the wrongdoers are clearly astray or are clearly lost in errors. Um, we have endowed Luqman with wisdom. What is the wisdom? Be grateful unto God. Whoever is grateful unto God is grateful for his own good, whereas he who chooses to be ungrateful know that God is self-sufficient, ever to be praised, worthy of all praise. And Luqman spoke to his son, admonishing him, "Oh, my dear son, do not attribute any partners to God. Do not commit shirk." Attributing partners to God is a terrible wrongdoing. So in the wrongdoing and the wrongdoers who deny the signs of God is the same word here. So shirk is the wrongdoing, and the opposite of shirk is shukr, sharaka, shakara. And to be grateful to God means to be aware of the qualities of God, see the qualities of God in everything. So everything is a reminder of his blessings, and everything is a means to be grateful to him. And only then we know that we are away from shirk. When we are not consciously grateful, it means somehow we are not seeing something to be grateful for. It means we are missing the whole everything what's going on around us. It means we are in a state of heedlessness. And you see, we are missing something very, very big. It is dhulmun azim. It's a huge wrongdoing to ourselves and to the creation around us. That's why at the end of every window, he has this a paragraph for the ghafil, or you ignorant, heedless, obstinate, he says. With what can you interpret this mighty truth? Of course, when we are in ghafla, we don't even see the mighty truth, because remember, when we observe, we see. So most of the time we're looking, but we're not seeing what's there. So we need to learn to observe and see. And when we see the order, we need to see the wisdom within it. And from the wisdom, we see the wise one. And then once we are sure and we have certainty about this, we need to sit with it and internalize it. When we are internalizing it, we are using consciously the I as a unit of measurement, as we've seen in the sixth word. And only then will the light of Tawheed, the circuit of Tawheed will be completed, and the light of transformation, the light of Iman and Ihsan will inshallah light up. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين آمين والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. I stopped here, but please, if you have any comment or anything, if you have a question, we'll leave it for next week, inshallah, if we're still in this world. But if you have a comment, go ahead, as long as it's not too long, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Yamina, everybody. I'm really absorbing what you have said about this window and its explanation. I'm just going to share briefly that my sister just got bit by something 2 days ago, and now she's having to have antibiotic injections. She's still at home. Please pray that she gets well. I hope it's not a poisonous bug bite or snake bite, but it made me wonder that in Allah's creation there are so many animals that we are totally oblivious of, and there are medicines in them too, from their extracts and venom and whatnot, but then there is a lot of danger in them as well, and how we are vulnerable. So it makes me wonder, um, that if where there is a lot of rema and there is risk and there is anaya, there is this mindfulness that we have to have when we are interacting with the environment around us, which is natural. And the other thing that this window and your explanation makes me think of is that when we are absolutely in despair, or when multiple things are going wrong, how to kind of bring ourselves back to this notion that there is a much more expansive picture that I may not be fully looking at. And hence, I leave it to Allah to guide me to that picture, because ultimately, when Allah Himself is saying so many times about Him being merciful, His promise is true. I need to do my part in being um, in waiting and praising and not forgetting that.
Inshallah.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
And the inaya is there, as you said, like there are poisonous things, but how
Yeah.
many times are we the victims of this? It means most of the time we are being protected, we are not even aware of it. It's only
Right.
when something happens that our attention is brought to the existence of such creatures.
Right. No, absolutely.
Most of the time we are being
Safe.
protected. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Dr. Yamina, always. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Allah Hafiz.
Thanks.
Assalamu alaikum.
May Allah give shifa and healing to everyone, including yourself,
Ameen.
her, everyone around there. Alhamdulillah, He is the healer.
Ameen. Thank you.
One thing that attracted my attention in this text is toward the end it says, His are the most beautiful names. And it's important to see that I tended to read this verse as saying that God has beautiful names. Basically, God has most beautiful names. But it's not what the verse is saying. The verse is saying to God belong the most beautiful names, which suggests an order of reasoning that we first see, like here, abundance and speed and artfulness, and then from there we see that, well, these indicate power and perfection and beauty, and then from there we say, well, these qualities must belong to a being, and to that being we call God. To Him belongs all the names.
It's transcend, because we most of the time, sometimes we see the beauty in the art, but we don't think of transcending the creation.
Yeah, that is His.
So here it's saying,
qualities.
actually, if you take it literally, it's saying only to God belong the beautiful names. It's a takhsis because it's coming at the beginning, and so it's like only to God belong the. It means they don't belong to the things around you. When you see art, it doesn't belong to that whatever, that beautiful flower or something you see. Yeah. So it transcends. That's why it needs conscious. We observe, we see.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair, Dr. Yamina. Is there anyone else who would like to offer a comment? Okay, if not, then inshallah we are going to stop here for tonight. And inshallah we'll meet again next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, continuing to reflect on the windows. And in the meantime, inshallah, we can do the homework, the heart work that Dr. Yamina highlighted, to understand the reasoning and then to sit with that and internalize it by connecting with our heart and really reflecting in contrast with our neediness and weakness, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair, Dr. Yamina, and Jazakumullah khair everyone for joining us tonight. And please subscribe to Receiving Noor YouTube channel so you will get the videos whenever a new video is posted. And this session will be inshallah posted shortly as well. Assalamu alaikum.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. في أمان الله.